Hello, everyone. Genuinely talented people who leave a significant mark on history are born infrequently. We will talk about a person who was able to turn the world of computer security upside down. When he was 15 years old, the police of the entire United States were already after him. Together, let's learn about his life, which is simultaneously interesting and complicated. Kevin Mitnick was born into a simple family in the U.S. in 1963. His father left the family when Kevin turned 5, so his mom had to spend a significant amount of time at work. He was a typical child and did not draw much attention to himself. He developed an unusual hobby when he was around 12. While his friends were busy having fun outdoors, Kevin loved to take public buses and look out through the windows at the city landscape. The teenager spent all of his pocket money on such trips. One time, when Kevin was looking at his bus ticket, he realized that it would be amazing if he could outwit the entire system and save a lot of money on public transportation. He understood that ticket validation relies on the unusual puncture pattern that the driver does. The only thing that he was unsure of is where to get a ticket punching machine. Without thinking too long, he came up to the driver and struck up a conversation in which he casually asked where it would be possible to get such a machine. The trusting driver told the teen about a store that sold equipment for public transport. Kevin's unsuspecting mother gave him $15 for a school project, and soon he became an owner of a ticket punching machine. The only thing left to do was to get blank ticket forms. The teenager knew where to get them because drivers would throw them out at the end of their shifts, at the final stops. The schoolboy could then travel freely to many destinations without spending his pocket money on such trips. At the time, Kevin was very proud of his little accomplishment and considered himself a genius. In a year, Kevin joined a club for radio amateurs and made a very interesting acquaintance there. When his new friend found out about Kevin's abilities, he showed him lots of amazing telephone tricks. Kevin's acquaintance taught himself phreaking, which is the art of hacking telecommunication systems. He showed Kevin how to use a secret number to make international phone calls completely free of charge. His friend also taught him how to use slang words to sound impressive and convincing when tricking people. All of this fascinated young Kevin so much that he himself began to practice phreaking. For example, he played one of his first tricks on a teacher who was offering computer classes to high school graduates. Under a different name, with the help of his own voice and tone dialing, Kevin learned all about the computer teacher and later came to him with all the information. The teacher was shocked by Mitnick's unusual capabilities. He made an exception and accepted Kevin to be one of his students. Many years later, Kevin told journalists that the teacher probably regretted teaching him because of everything that it led to. Later, Kevin continued to develop his skills. For example, at 14, he figured out how to redirect the signal from a home phone to a payphone. At 15, the teenager started to spend a lot of time in the computer classroom at his school studying manuals. After some time, he hacked into the local system of the school. What's most interesting is that Mitnick had access to the entire system, meaning that he could easily change his grades, but he chose not to do it. He was interested in the hacking process itself, not in what hacking could enable him to do. In 1979, Kevin met a group of young hackers. In order to join their group, he had to carry out his first serious hacking assignment. The assignment was to hack into the security system of Digital Equipment Corporation, which at the time was the most effective security system. It seemed to be an impossible feat, but Kevin completed the task in just 10 minutes. After which he became a legend in hacker circles. Still, Kevin was more interested in telephoning and spent hours studying useful information. He also made time to go to his classes at the University of South Carolina. However, things weren't going as smoothly as they seemed, and he soon experienced his first troubles. Soon, one of the group members' girlfriends turned over to the authorities the group of hackers that Kevin was a part of. Kevin spent 3 months in a juvenile detention center and received a 1-year suspended sentence. As soon as Mitnick was released, he got back into his detailed study of telephone networks and became a hacking virtuoso. He learned to create unregistered subscriber numbers, to make calls from the numbers of other subscribers, as well as to listen in on and disconnect other people's phone calls. In the 1980s, Kevin moved to California where he continued to perfect his skills. He could skillfully perform various tricks on computers and phones. But most importantly, Mitnick was able to evade responsibility for his actions for a long time because he skillfully covered his tracks. Everything was going well until 1987, when he was turned over to the police by one of his hacker buddies simply because he was jealous of Kevin's successes. Since then, Kevin was incarcerated frequently. One of his convictions was for the illegal access of the ARPANET network. In court, the director of the Department of Computer Crimes claimed that Mitnick was a lot more skilled than a regular hacker. In 1990, Kevin was released on probation. The only condition was not to use the computer. However, as soon as he was released, Kevin again took up his activities because he was interested in finding out what exactly he was capable of. He then decided to block the number of his parole officer and wreaked chaos on the credit account of a judge. Most importantly, Mitnick deleted all of his personal information, including mentions of his arrests and convictions from the court's main computer. Mitnick was under the FBI's constant surveillance, but in 1992 he completely disappeared from their view. While Kevin was being searched for across the entire country, he accomplished an incredible feat of connecting to the telephone system of the FBI. As such, all conversations between FBI agents were available to him, and so he was always one step ahead of them. In 1994, he was suspected of stealing electronic serial numbers of MSI Communications cell phones, as well as stealing software from Motorola. On December 25, 1994, Kevin hacked a personal computer of Tsutomu Shimomura, a leading American expert on computer security. He was able to copy hundreds of encrypted files and proved that he had no equals. Of course, this incident significantly damaged Shimomura's reputation, so catching the hacker became a matter of personal honor for him. On February 15, 1995, Kevin himself came to a police station and confessed. As a result, he was charged with 23 counts of fraud. The damages were estimated at $80 million. In some American circles, Mitnick became a legend. What's most interesting is that Kevin hacked not for his own financial gain, but simply because it was interesting for him to do so. Of course, he could have transferred millions of dollars to personal bank accounts in under 5 minutes, but even when he was on the run, he had a day job. He was a modest worker who did not draw attention to himself, but he did work informally. While he was in prison, different authors wrote several books on Mitnick. One of them was Shimomura, who, among other things, said that Mitnick truly had no equals. In January of 2000, Mitnick was released, after which he never returned to his old life. In 2003, he was once again allowed to use phones and the internet. In 2010, Kevin started his own company specializing in computer and network security, which also consults with the FBI and the CIA. Moreover, Mitnick began to cooperate with law enforcement agencies. He helped track down a phone terrorist in Michigan who called a local school with a bomb threat. Thanks to Mitnick, the offender was quickly arrested, for which the hacker was thanked. He was also invited to act in the American TV series Alias, where Kevin played a CIA agent. His extensive experience allowed him to author 3 books devoted to social engineering in the field of information technology security. In one interview, Mitnick said that he never wanted to become rich or popular because of his craft. His main goal was to find weak spots in the system and to help eliminate them. In many ways, that really is the case. It is precisely because of his hacking that programmers were able to prevent a lot more break-ins into the system. It's as if he was showcasing all of the imperfections without ever taking anything for himself. This was a very interesting life story of a person who was able to turn the world of computer security upside down. Well, that's it. If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.